What is up, friends? This is looking real weird. Something is definitely off with my camera right now. So I guess the way we're going to start today is we're going to figure out what's going on with my camera and we're going to try to fix it. Let's see if I can do this without taking the camera offline. Let's see. I'm going to operate the camera. We're going to go in here. And what happens? Does this turn it off? Don't you turn off. I'm feeling like we did a shoot recently, and I have a hunch that the settings got messed with, which I don't love. So this seems bad. I want this to be, and that feels about right. Yeah, something's weird, and I feel like maybe the camera is like up a couple stops. So I'm just gonna twist some knobs on this thing. Okay, so that looks way less blown out, which is good. That's what I want. Okay, then I need to get the lights back on. We're gonna have a little adventure today while yeah, the video is way too dark right now because my lights aren't on. So if I switch over into this thing and then I turn the lights on, right, that starts moving us in the right direction. Okay, then I'm gonna project because I don't know how well the mic is picking anything up. But ultimately, what I need to do here is set up this death trap with a tripping hazard. I'm going to deal with later. This cable, which is going to come around here, plug into this guy, and that's going to allow me to this. What is happening? What happened? Holy shit. Okay. That should take everything up to normal-ish levels. Let's actually take it down a little bit. 5. What's that doing? Okay, so that's not quite right. So that needs to come back up. We need to get that on my face. So we're like full behind the scenes here where I'm trying to remember how any of this stuff works. Let's see if I can just put this up. Get a little bit of a booklight vibe going. So that immediately softens it up, but we're too dark now. So we're going to go up a couple stops. Feels like that's going to be fun. Yeah. But why is everything red? Like it looks like the color profile got tweaked. Huh. I don't understand what's going on with that. That feels bad. And then why is this in frame? That shouldn't be in frame. Let's fix that. Oh. We out? We're not out. Should get Closer. Then I gotta figure out why the hell the color's wrong. So I'm going to look in this menu, see if somebody touched my shit. Okay, so I'm in the video mode. I'm looking to see basically what I'm convinced happened here, and I don't know exactly what's going on here, but I feel like a LUT is. I don't know why. So, what would cause that? This is what we want. What's going on? White balance is custom. That's what it's supposed to be. Why the hell do I look so red? This is set at 55. That's set at 48. 55. Bring it up a little bit more. Let's take it to about 2/3. And let's see if I still look terrible. See, now we're blown out again, and I still look. Something is wrong. Like, it shouldn't look like that. This, there's like a double color thing going on right now. Let me. Yeah, it looks like there's a filter on, but I didn't turn a filter on, so I'm wondering if maybe one of my crew touched a setting, and then I just don't know. I just don't know which one. So I'm gonna look again to see if maybe there's a setting I missed, and I'll be just doing running narration while that happens. And if that continues to look terrible, what I might do is actually switch to iPhone today. Just not stress about it. So let's see. Getting in. LUT out. How about that? Turn that off. Did that help? Oh, that was it. There was a LUT running on this thing, and that was awful. So okay, so yeah, that was the problem. It was a LUT is a, what was it? It's, so I don't remember what it stands for, but it's a way of like treating color. And so basically what happened is I have a monitor here, and so the camera has an HDMI out that runs into the monitor, and then the monitor has an HDMI out that runs into the, I use an A10 Mini Pro that takes up, lookup table. Yes, thank you. And so what ends up happening then is the camera is daisy chained to the monitor is daisy chained to this A10 Mini. And for some reason, somebody was messing with the monitor settings, or the monitor reset or updated. I'm not 100% sure, but somehow the LUT got turned on, and that looked real bad. So now the LUT is off, and we look fine. So we're going to live with that. Light's still not exactly where I want it, but I'm going to live with it today because that's fine. Also, you can see up here, this see this thing blown out. What I had before is, if I get, where is it? Yeah, you get a piece of cardboard in exactly the right spot, it blows that out. But I don't have that piece of cardboard right now, and so it is what it is. You know, is that monitor used in other productions? It usually not, but at the same time. So here's the thing that I've been trying to figure out is, historically we haven't had enough cameras, and we had to like
trade cameras between places, but now we do have enough cameras. And I feel like somebody just touched this one for no reason. And so I'm probably just gonna like start locking this room so that people don't touch my shit. So yeah, probably what happened is somebody was working on another thing and just borrowed this camera, and then the settings were weird and I didn't get here early enough to fix that. So now we're like a little bit off kilter. So I'm gonna fix the tripod. Is like I can see it leaning, so I'm gonna fix that. I'm gonna fix the frame so the top of my head's not cut off, and then we're gonna like do this thing for real. You're going back. Oh, it's still like just a touch too low. I think we're gonna live with it today. It's fine. This is fine. Everything is fine, and we're just gonna move on. Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. We're here. We're doing the show. Everything is good. Let's see what's new. What is new? So it's been a big year so far. So Code TV has been steadily growing. We have been working on a whole lot of stuff, and a lot of it is starting to come together here. So just a quick recap of where we are. We wrapped season 2 of Web Dev Challenge in November of last year, and that was an episode we shot on site with Intuit. It was super fun, and one of the things that I loved about it is it had this really like warm vibe. So let me share my screen, and I'm going to pull this up so that everybody can see it. And let's do that, and then I'm going to go. Let's see, probably just to. Well, hold on. Let me get all this stuff off my desktop before I go too wild here. You're going over here, and you're going over here. You're going over here. That can be closed. What else? You can be closed. That can be closed. That can definitely be closed. That's coming over here. I believe that leaves us with a reasonable set of things on the screen. Yes, okay. So let me get over into this view here, and then we're gonna pop this back up. There it is. Okay, so so when we did the Intuit show, it has this like really good vibe. I'm really happy with the way it came out. So here, and then this is the episode. And so you can see like just kind of right off the bat, this is just so warm, and there's depth, and there's like visual interest here that I really liked. I thought this looked really nice. And then as you get into other parts of the show, you can see there's a lot of depth here, so we could have that background kind of fade out, and like this looks so nice. There's a lot of visual interest, a lot of good color. And then when we get into, let's see, into this area, there's some stuff that is just kind of not in the cards, like these big, beautiful windows with grass and stuff out. I can't duplicate that. We don't have that here at our studio, but it just gave this like really nice warmth, where every angle was interesting. You know, you've got depth, there's something back there, there's color. And then when we get to the demos, let's see, where are the demos at? Here we go. So when we get to the demo area, then we've got this kind of, everybody's sort of, you know, comfortable, they're lounging, there's kind of nice, cozy stuff happening that makes this look, I don't know, it just looks inviting to me. Like I want to hang out here. So if you contrast that to the way that like one of these episodes looks. So it's not that this isn't warm, because it is, but it's a little less visually interesting, right? We're kind of standing in the middle of nowhere, and then here you've got good depth, but it's a little bit on the cold side. Like we've got the cool black, we've got these whites. And then the other thing that I was kind of unhappy with is that so many of these angles, especially when we get into like, there's just, it's very like black and white, right? Like it's kind of, and then these curtains, I love these curtains because they helped hide the bare warehouse walls, but they also create this sort of just, it's a dark box. And then we also were kind of dealing with like shots like this, where again, it just sort of, you're just up against the wall. It's not very deep. They're only a couple feet in front of that wall. So you don't have a lot of visual depth in the shot, and it gets a little harder. Like you get some separation. You can see that this is a little bit soft, and so you can see them in focus, and this is a little bit soft, but it's also just, there's not a lot going on in these shots. And then similarly, when we get over into, let's go out to the demos. The demos, like, I like the color. I like the warmth. These risers are super cool. We got them custom built. The podium is cool. We got it custom built. But the problem with this area is just that it's very monochromatic, right? And so it's got a lot of cool things going on, but it feels very, it just doesn't have a ton of softness or warmth or character. And so we wanted to address that. We wanted to make that look nicer. And what that led me to was a big effort to try and upgrade the studio for season 3. So season 2 to season 3, we were able to make some pretty cool, pretty big adjustments. The first episode, we're looking to premiere that. I think the target is March 4th. So we'll be looking for an episode release of Web Dev Challenge Season 3 on March 4th. We are filming 2 more over the next few weeks, so we should be on an every 2-week cadence like we were. Got great partners. The first one is an episode with Google. Second one is going to be with Render, and then the third one is looking like it's probably going to be OpenAI. And then I'm talking to a bunch of other great companies that we're not far enough along to talk about yet. But yeah, I think it's going to be super fun. Does BenQ make the video walls? They don't, I don't think. They're super focused on the monitors right now, like the coding monitors. And so they are like, yeah, like this here is a 100 and something inch like touch screen that BenQ makes. And they just kind of like sent that to me. And I was like, okay, do you want me to do a thing for it? They're like, no, we just focus on the monitors. I was like, oh, okay, thank you. If you want to gasp audibly, go look up how much this thing cost. And then realize that they just like tossed one to me because for as far as I can tell, no reason. Like it was very cool. So okay, so that's like thing 1 is Web Dev Challenge Season 2 to Season 3. We're doing a big set upgrade. It was a little hectic to get there, but we're coming in strong in Season 3. I'm really excited. I'm talking to some folks about. I have this dream. We might get to do it. I really want to do like the analog coding challenge. Like we joked about this on a few streams a while back, where I want to do a show where the challenge is not like AI is bad, but just remember when we didn't use it. Like let's do an episode where you just don't have access to these tools. You got to code everything by hand using your brain and Google like a caveman or whatever we want to call it. But I really like the idea of just sort of steering into this, like it was fun to have to figure stuff out and not just be able to say like, oh, can you do that? And then you just turn your brain off and it does the thing. So I'm excited for that. I'm hoping that we'll be able to pull that off. On the opposite end of the spectrum, we've got, it's the moment of AI right now. So everybody is only funding AI projects, which means that we are currently looking at a bunch of new AI content. We have a new show that is going to be coming out in probably April, would be my guess. That it's going to be called the Greenfield Games, and the idea is the premise is that like the way that we build things has shifted, especially when it's like for internal tools. So if you are having a build versus buy conversation, the math has changed a little bit, and that's going to be the premise of the show is steering into the idea of like, what if you did just build your own internal tools? And so we're going to take some common tools, things like CRMs or project management boards or stuff like that. And we're going to say, why don't you reimagine this for like your specific needs? And we'll have a set of requirements that have to be true, but like the form factor and the like details are going to be up to the teams. And we're just going to see how well they do. And they're going to have, 6 hours. It's going to be a head-to-head show. We're going to have actual judges and prizes and losers and winners on this one. It's going to be, we're taking some inspiration from like MasterChef and Beat Bobby Flay. I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I should find towns named Greenfield to shoot them in. Yeah. But no, that's definitely not what we're, I don't know what's going on. People being mean. Let's see. So, Donnie, I did send over your email to the team at Micro Merch. Hit me up in the Discord and I'll send you his email and you can just follow straight up. It's filmed on the Windows 95 default background. So we are going to film this one in a soundstage in Cornelius, Oregon, which is just outside of Portland here. It's, maybe a 40-minute drive or so, but it's going to be super fun. The studio is called Coach Sarge. They're great. They're like industry legends around here. They've been doing it forever. And so we're going to steer into the fun and just have a good time with it. Should be great working with some really, really cool people. I'm not going to spoil it yet, but you're going to recognize some names. It's going to be very fun. We're also working on the first ever ARCed like mini season of Web Dev Challenge. And I'm super thrilled about this. So this one is going to be 6 episodes. We're going to have 8 teams and we're going to have a team actually get voted off every episode. So truly like so excited about this. This is the vision that I've had for Web Dev Challenge since the very beginning. And I cannot wait to make this real, because it's, the goal was always to be able to have that continuity and do multiple episodes. And we just haven't had the budget. It's truly like kind of staggering how much this stuff costs to make when you start factoring in, 8 teams is 16 developers, and then you've got judges and you've got crew, and we've got to feed everybody. We got travel. Like it adds up so fast when you start thinking about like travel costs, hotel costs. To do an 8-team thing, you need 3 camera crews. So that's like 7 or 8 camera operators, 3 sound mixers. You need, a bunch of folks. Like it's a lot. And so it just starts to really, it felt out of reach for a long time, but this is what I've been working on since, I was trying to push this at Netlify. Like this was my vision. And so this year we are actually going to be able to do, take a real crack at the way that I wanted Web Dev Challenge to work. And I'm just super pumped to get that shot. We are also working on a handful of new things. We're resurrecting Web Lunch. I didn't mean to stop sharing my screen. I don't know why I did that. We're resurrecting Web Lunch. So I am really like, I've talked about this before. I think Web Lunch is my favorite thing to make. I love it. It's a simple format but it's a topic that's really close to my heart, and I just want more people to know about it. So the premise of this show is I want to talk to, actually, I can pull up the details. I want to talk to developers, people who work in tech, people who have had successful careers, but not just who are like on paper successful, but who actually enjoy their lives, who are, they seem to be genuinely having fun. They've got healthy lives. They're surrounded by people who love them. They're in healthy communities, and they're not just like chasing number go up and seem sort of weird and isolated and lonely because all they ever do is think about, winning in business. I want to talk to the people who have like well-rounded and happy lives, and talk about why. Like, what are they doing? What are their strategies? What's their outlook on things? And so I've done some of these in the past, and let me get back to episodes. Let's go back to season 1 here. So we did a run of these that I was really happy with. I thought these were super fun. And we've got a few that were just sort of in the can. I had a chance to talk to Kyle Daigle, who's the COO of GitHub. This one is up now. We've got Daniel Rowe is the maintainer of Nuxt and NPMX. That one is up now. We've got an interview coming out with Laura Dury, who is a former professional goalie in the Dutch. I can't remember what the actual name of the league is, but like was a pro athlete, did 6 or 7 years, and then her career ended early because of an injury, and she transitioned into tech. And talking about like, how do you, when you got this dream, you got this plan, you're going to be a pro athlete, you are a pro athlete, and then that sort of gets upended and you have no control over it. How do you find a new path and not be mad, not be bitter, not resent that you didn't get to do the thing that you thought you were going to do? And it's a great conversation. That's also a good one. That one will come out here in the next week or so, where you can see what the inside of my house looks like, because we filmed it in my living room. But so, these conversations though are just so rewarding for me. And so this one with Daniel and the one with Laura are both sponsored by AppWrite. GitHub sponsored the conversation with Kyle Daigle. And then we've got some coming up that are sponsored by Auth0. I'm going to talk to a guy named Ari Shapiro. And then I'm going to try, he's up in Seattle. So we're going to go do the interviews probably in a restaurant in Seattle. And then I've got one more, I'm going to try to get one more person to come meet with me while we're there. And then that'll be, we're going to keep these coming. And these ones are going to be done a little bit different because the full interviews are members only, but we are regularly putting out clips. So on the Code TV channel, we have a bunch of like great quotes and honestly, like the things that I think are the most like prescient thoughts are going to end up in these clips. So you still get you don't have to be a supporter to get the value out of the Web Lunch stuff, but it's important to me that there is I want there to be a reason to become a supporter. I feel like right now there's the Flare in Discord, and there is the early access, which I think is valuable, but we don't have a lot of stuff that's like, you only get to watch this if you're a supporter. So I'm trying to get better at that. And we're finally in a place where I think that's going to be possible to keep, a reasonably steady pace of members only content coming out. So, hey, if you've been on the fence, maybe now's the sign. Like we've got a $5 a month supporter tier that it means the whole world to me whenever somebody joins up, and it helps us keep the lights on, helps us, do more interviews like this. If you've got somebody you want to see us interview, let me know, because I'm always looking for new folks to talk to. We are pushing out the new Web Dev podcast, which is now live on all of your favorite podcatchers. You can find it on feed the RSS feed into whatever you use. We got Pocket Cast, Apple Podcasts. It's on Spotify, and the video version is on Spotify. And then we've got Amazon Music if you're using that. So wherever you listen to your podcast, you are able to get it in there. And that one is going out as a 30-minute discussion about new tech. We're going to have We're going to talk to the DocuSign crew about how, if you're a solopreneur, entrepreneur, you can automate some of the admin stuff. So like once a contract gets signed, you have to do things like stand up the project. You got to use some templates to, create some things, send some getting started emails, build a GitHub project, whatever it is. Any of that stuff now you can actually use. DocuSign's got the ability to build some automations and workflows, and they've got webhooks and all sorts of cool stuff. We're going to be talking to the NPMX crew and talk about that project. That's going to be a really fun one. We're going to be talking to Chris Sev at Auth0. And Chris has been at a bunch of different places. He's super cool. If you never talked to him before, we're going to have Zayu, who was on the Intuit episode of Web Dev Challenge, as well as on other things. But I've been really excited about the @Proto, like the technology the protocol that sits underneath apps like Blue Sky and Leaflet and a few others. It's effectively like super powered RSS in terms of a mental model that helps. And I think it's cool. I think it's got a lot of potential. I have a million ideas and just never have time to actually sit down and work on them. But Zayu is doing a bunch of cool stuff with it. And so I'm really excited to have Zayu come on the show. I think these might be listed. Let me see. They're not listed yet. But so Zayu is going to come on and give us the skinny on how @Proto works. We're booking more episodes as we speak. We're going to be learning about all sorts of fun stuff. And if there's tech that you're interested in, again, let me know. Jump in the Discord or shoot me a DM on whatever social media platform and just let me know what you want to learn, because I am always looking to talk to new people and I don't always know what's going on or what people are interested in. So if you have a thing that you want to learn, tell me. I'll go find somebody. We'll learn about it. Then what else are we doing, y'all? It's not stopping. We're still going. If you are in the Miami area and are interested in going to React Miami, I'm going to be there with the Clerk team the day before. This is going to be so much fun. We're going to do a series of interviews. I'm not going to give too many details because it's so ridiculous that I'm worried it's not going to work out. And I don't want to overhype this, but it's going to be very fun. And that's going to culminate in an opening party. So I will be, Code TV and Clerk will be renting a bar in Miami, somewhere close to the React Miami venue. And it's going to be open to, I believe, to all attendees, but we might just open it up to devs in the area if you want to come through. So we'll have, food and drink tickets or something, and you can come out, meet some devs. It'll be a good time. A great chance if you're on the southeast of the country, where I don't usually end up. It's a good chance to hang out in person. So head over that way. If you're not going to React Miami, I think there are ways to get big discounts. I don't have a discount code or anything, but could be a fun one. I've never been before, but I've seen the photos. A lot of people I like, Demetrius Clark and Will Johnson have emceed it in the past. I think those are two of my favorite people. They're so funny. And a lot of folks I really like are going to be there this year. So I think should be a good time. Come hang out. We're going to be in Europe, Beyond Tellerand. That one we're just attending. I just want to be at Beyond Tellerand. I love that conference. If you're in Europe and haven't been, strong recommendation from me. It's in Dusseldorf. It's in I think it's the beginning of May. It's either the very last days of April or the very first days of May, but it's in Dusseldorf. It's great. It's a really good conference, very creative. The speakers there are always kind of creative technologist types. Projects are always cool. It's a very inspirational conference. You walk away kind of bubbling with ideas, and that's my favorite kind. Lots of good stuff coming up. And then there's a bunch of other stuff that I'm not quite ready to talk about yet because I don't want to, it's not set in stone and I don't want to make any promises I'm not going to be able to follow through on. But we are very, very, very much cooking, and I can't wait. So let me see. Did I even put it up on? I don't think I put it on Blue Sky that I'm live. So I'm going to do that real quick. and go to profile. That's me. How do I do this? I go live. Yeah. Do one of these. Do one of those. We're going to be live until noon. And did it do the thing? I think it did the thing. Okay. So here's kind of what I was thinking about today that I thought would be fun. We got a whole bunch of new cool gear from a bunch of partners to build out the workstations for Web Dev Challenge Season 2. And so what I was thinking about doing is just doing kind of a walkthrough of how we are setting up for the season and what the different tools are and how they work. I think it could be pretty fun to talk through. But for me to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a wireless mic that I can just clip here so that I can like move around, and then I'll probably start using my phone as the camera so I can kind of point it at stuff and point. And that's going to take me just a second to set up. So bear with me while I run and grab the necessary equipment, and then we'll muddle through me figuring out how to make that work. I'll be right back. Okay. All right, so first things first, what I think we can do is I'm going to use this. This is a Peak Design like carbon fiber tripod, so it's a nice lightweight one, and it's got this wonderful little hidden buddy. If I can figure out how to get it back in. There it is. And this is a phone holder. So I can take my phone and let's see, this piece is going to go this way. And then here, I'm able to take the phone, snap it in like that, lock that down. And then what we should be able to do, if I'm doing this right, is I think I can get my phone to work as the camera. Yeah, okay. So that's working, that's doing what I want, and it's not doing anything goofy like following or anything. No, it's not. Okay, so then the other thing that I need to do is I want to get this. These are Rode Wireless Go 2 microphones. And let me switch back to the other camera real quick while I do this. And what I want to do with these is I'm actually going to pair this, assuming it has any battery. I didn't even think about that. Where is the battery level on these? Oops. So this is about to die, but I don't need this part. I only need... It's like turning off and then immediately back on. That's not a good sign. Okay, so that might be dead. Are you dead? Okay, so this one was showing battery, is now showing no battery. So this might not actually work after all. What happens if I just use the mic off of the phone? I'm gonna guess. Give me feedback if that's not working, and we'll live with it. But what should happen now is that y'all should be following along, and you should be able to hear. Can I get somebody to just confirm real quick that this mic is sounding okay? Pretty good. Okay, we're gonna live with it because I really want to show this stuff. And then I don't get. It sucks that I don't get a preview, but yeah. So we're gonna live with it. So here's my normal streaming setup. There's my Rodecaster Pro 2, and then I've got the A10 Mini Pro, and you can see the HDMI running out the back, and then over there is the monitor, which you can see the HDMI running out of the camera, which brings us to where we are. So let's wander off here into the space. Okay, so this is the new setup. I'm just gonna check levels real quick to make sure this isn't like completely dark. So give me 1 second. Yeah, it's looking good. Okay, so this is the new space. We've got the kind of familiar but updated. So we've got the lounge space back here. Lights are off, but this is especially striking and like warm when it's powered up. And then over here we've got, look at those posters. I got these posters printed with grand ambitions and just let them sit. Still have a stack of these that I keep swearing I'm going to like distribute somehow, and I just have not figured it out. I'll get there eventually. And then over here, we've got the updated seating area. And so you can see we've got the plants, we've got these new seats with cushions, and then we added some color to the podium. We took the screen is now black to like let it sit a little bit more. And then we use this this green to be kind of like a nice warm, like, I don't know, like keep it from feeling too like kids' room, I guess. We were trying to elevate it a little bit. That's where the green comes in. And then that partners, or I guess complements the green of the couch. And then the orange, we wanted to pull in kind of hearkening back to what I loved about that Intuit space. So then we've got the new setup. So let's talk a little bit about how this works, because I guess we'll start with the desks themselves because I'm really excited about these. So these are uplift desks. They are the 72-inch, I believe. And the reason we did 72-inch is because we wanted the teams to work together on each desk. And so these are so nice. Like, check this out. You get just a paddle. So you lift and it comes up and it just kind of shows you what the height is. And these get tall. So what I also love about it being this tall is that when I'm up here, so that's 48.6 inches. This is how it comes up to my chest, right? So it's super tall. And the reason I like this is that when we're going to work on it, I can like get under here and I'm actually not having to like lay on the ground to get under the cables and like mess with how things are plugged in or wired. So that's great. And then to push it back down, you just do one of these. Ta-da. And this is great. So super happy with these. And then as a complimentary piece, Uplift, and so Uplift sponsored these. So huge thanks to Uplift for making that happen. And then as our complimentary piece, these are the new Uplift chairs. And I'm going to get the name of this wrong, and that's not great. I think they're the Clarkson chair. I'll fact check that in a second. But look at this. So this is it's a really nice looking chair. It's got kind of a cool design on the back, and then you've got you can see this is like an actual Uplift chair. They're making their own now. But look at the little rollerblade wheels, and also just listen. Like silent. It's so nice, and you can really get booking on these. Like if I sit down in this thing and I'm like just like shoot myself backwards, like you'll just keep going, right? It's actually like kind of impressive how much oh nope, it's fine. Yeah. So anyways, that's going to cause carnage later on this year, I'm sure. Like somebody's going to end up doing a chair race or something. But so these Uplift chairs are sick. They're a huge upgrade from what we had before. We were using kind of some, I don't even know. They were like kind of budget discount chairs. They were super loud. We had some Aeron chairs, and I do like the Aeron chairs, but we had, actually I can show you. These are the chairs we were using before. This is the Aeron, so this is the nice one. But here's the problem with the Aerons is like these are fixed. You can't adjust the armrest height, and to adjust this at all, you actually have to like take this apart. You have to unscrew these, take these things out, adjust it to where it is, clamp it back down. So they just like, it's a good chair, but it's not intended for like multiple occupants. It's a chair that is 100% for you to purchase for yourself, perfectly tuned to your ergonomic needs, and then never touch again, right? The other thing is it doesn't have the nice casters, so loud. It was the worst. So huge upgrade from Uplift. And so now we've got everybody set up. We've got teams 2 to a desk, which is really nice. And it gives me the ability to do what I love about this setup is you can see the devs are all facing away from each other, but in a place that puts them together. So historically, what we had done is there was this sort of triangle thing. So there was a sort of V-shaped 2 desks, and then over this side, there's a V-shaped 2 desks, and here there was a V-shaped 2 desks. And the devs were facing in, which kind of worked. We'd set it up so that the camera crew walked through the middle. But the problem was that the devs were completely separate from each other. They were kind of blocked off by these desk walls and the extra monitors and stuff. So they weren't able to look at each other's work or like tease each other or just kind of turn around and chat for a second. They had to like stand up and look over the top of their desks. And yeah, I wanted it to be more interactive. Like it was important to me that the devs had more of an ability to like talk. And so 2 devs to a desk means that the desks are a little more more manageable. And then having them with the devs facing out, but close to each other means that they can, I can like quickly turn around, give somebody some crap, and then turn back to what I'm doing. And it doesn't require me to like stand up and look over my chair. So very happy with the new desk setup. I think it's great. One more thing about this that I love. Look at these heavy duty casters. These things rule. I feel like casters are something that I didn't appreciate until I had a studio and had to like move stuff around, but oh my goodness, these are great. And these are the upgraded ones, which I can show you. I can show you the old ones. So here's the desks that we were using before. And you can see these are Uplift desks. They are also great, but look at these casters. They're much more, I don't know. They're cheaper. And you can tell when you use them, like they're harder to lock, they're harder to move, and it's way easier to accidentally lock or unlock them. And a couple of them just sort of collapsed and they don't really work anymore. So you have to kind of lift the desk to move it around, and that sucks. So that's desks and chairs. Uplift hooked us up. Huge thank you to Uplift. They're like, I could not be happier with these. So then let's talk about the monitor setup. So these here, I believe that's going to be framed right. I hope that's framed right. So this is the BenQ monitor. And so you can kind of see here, if I turn this a little bit, this is a BenQ monitor. It's got this halo light around the back. We don't use them because they're an open space, but if this is up against a wall, what it does is it throws light against the wall and just kind of helps keep the ambient glow in the room to minimize the amount of eye strain that you're feeling, which I think is really, really nice. The other thing that I love about these monitors is that they have this 3:2 aspect ratio. And I kept trying a lot of different setups to try to find the one that was perfect for me, because I wanted the ultra wide, and then I got that, and I actually didn't like this sort of having to look, so far left to right to operate things. So then I thought maybe what I want is actually a vertical monitor. And so for a while I had not an ultra wide, but a wide monitor flipped vertically. And it was like kind of close, but not quite right, because it didn't look good if you put things side by side on it. But I liked the height and being able to put like a code editor on it. But then I felt like, well, if I'm going to do that, then I need like 2 of them. And that felt silly. And suddenly I'm looking at like a 3 monitor setup, and it just felt like a lot. So then I started looking for a square monitor, because I remember somebody talking about, I don't remember who it was. Somebody was talking about having a square monitor, and I was like, maybe that's what I want, is like the 4 tiles, or I can have one thing full screen and tall, and that would be good. So I started poking around, and then I got in touch with BenQ, and they were like, you should try this one. And so this is 3:2. So it's not square, but it's close. It feels close. And what I love about this is it's tall enough that, like, when I put a code editor on it, if I swing that thing to the right, 1/3 of this monitor with the code editor on it is tall enough for me to see like, 50, 60 lines of code, which is, and like I keep my font pretty big. You could probably get 100 lines of code if you're a small font person. But then in addition to having the code, I can have the monitor or the browser window with the preview, browser window with the docs. And if I tile even more strategically, I can also get like my terminal in here along with the docs. And like you can get a lot of stuff fits on here in a way that doesn't feel crowded. And I think with the shorter aspect ratio, things just immediately feel crowded. You put something on top of itself in an ultra wide, and it just immediately feels squished, right? And like when I do it on my laptop now, it feels really squished. And so I feel like everything needs to be like vertically split. This one, I feel like you get 3 to 4 vertical windows, depending on how wide they need to be, and at least 1 to 2 up and down. And like if it's a terminal or something, like I only need like 6 lines on my terminal most of the time. So I'll put my terminal really small, and then I can stack like messaging apps up here, and I'll be able to put, a ton of stuff into one screen. And I really like that. This also has a bunch of cool features that I don't know if I can like really show without plugging in a computer, and I don't have a second computer to plug in to show them. But like this has the ability to do color tuning. So like if you code in dark mode, this has a dark mode tuning that will make the blacks a little bit darker, and it'll increase the color contrast. So it just makes the dark mode look really, really nice. If you switch over into light mode, they have a light mode tuning that will, it's just kind of optimized for light mode, so things don't feel blown out or washed out. They also will match the Mac color profile if you just want it to look like your Mac monitor. And they've got tweaks on all of these. They have a low light mode. They'll like automatically detect the ambient light and either dim or brighten things if you want. They have a night shift that kind of takes the blue light out to reduce your eye strain. And the other thing that I love is like, watch as I turn this. Notice how you're not getting a lot of like reflections or glare. And like I've got daylight over here. So on a gloss monitor, you would be getting a ton of reflections and glare. And this is like a ultra matte panel or something like that keeps it from you just don't get glare. And so what I've found, and like this is my daily driver monitor, the one in there is, and it's just nice to work on. Like I love these monitors. I've been working with BenQ now for 3 years. And we're actually about to get an upgrade on these too. So I'll have a new model of BenQ monitor in here in the next probably couple of weeks that I can talk about. So love the monitors, very, very happy with that. Let's also talk for a second about this guy. So this is the CalDigit T5, or is it the TS5 or the T5S? TS5 Plus. This thing is sick. So it does a handful of things that I love. The biggest thing is it's just like infinite connectivity down here. So we have, there are 3 Thunderbolt ports. So like this one runs out to the computer, and then you can run 2 more monitors off of it. And then it's got USB data, which has, I think, 36 watts, something like that. This is a display port. You've got powered USB-A. This is 10 gigabit Ethernet, which prior to that, I had to buy a 10 gigabit Ethernet adapter to be able to run that speed, which like a lot of times you don't need 10 gigabit Ethernet, but like if you're transferring large files, which we do a lot, this is killer. We run a Synology NAS, and getting like a 1.5 terabytes of data from a hard drive to the NAS takes like not very much time over 10 gigabit, and it would take a full day over a slower connection. So really, like, honestly, for this alone, this is kind of worth it. But being able to drive the extra monitors is a big deal. And that's actually one of the biggest reasons I was excited about this. And so when I reached out to CalDigit and I said, like, hey, I'm doing this show, I think this would be super useful, they were immediately down and just sent me a box of these so that I could set up each kit, or each workstation has its own CalDigit TS5 Plus. Really, really thrilled about that. Then we've got the keyboards and the mice. So Logitech hooked us up with, this is the MX Keys Mini, and this is the MX Master 4. And then we also got, let's see. Yeah, this is the MX Keys Mini. Are you a Keys Mini that's just a different color? Oh, MX Keys Mini for Mac, right? So we've got the different layouts. So this one is Command Option Control. This one has the Windows layout, so it's got Command and Alt, Opt and Start. I think you can just choose somewhere. Maybe it's in your own computer. You might need to use like the Logi Options app, but you can choose which layout to use. I like this. I think this is cool, but they gave us options. And then they also gave us, I don't see one out here, so I'm going to go back into the workstation here. This is our equipment room. It's where like camera and everything gets set up. Here's my pile of Logitech keyboards. So Logitech hooked us up. We got so many good options here. This is the mechanical mini, the MX mechanical mini. And I'm really enjoying this one. It's not a full blown, like, it's not using like, you know, the MX Cherry Reds or whatever switches, but it does have that clicky feel. And it's, I don't know, it's like pleasing to use. So they sent us some of these. They also sent us so let's see. This one is the Windows and Mac version. And then in here somewhere, here it is. This is the for Mac version. And so we've got the same thing, but it's got the Mac keys layout. But it has the number pad, which I really didn't realize I was going to miss when I got some of the super compact keyboards, but I end up really missing this, especially when I'm working in the terminal or in the IDE. I know that there's ways to work around it, but it's nice to just have some arrow pads every once in a while. But as you can see, they gave us a whole stack of these. So anybody who comes in to work on the show is going to have access to one of the MX Master 4 mouse setups, which these are really cool. They've got this kind of like touchpad thing, as well as these action buttons here, and then this side scrolling thing here. So this a lot of Bluetooth mice I end up not liking because they don't have, like, I miss things from the trackpad. And this one has been great because the only thing it doesn't have is the like pinch to zoom. Everything else, side scrolling, the ability to do like a 2-finger drag between desktops, or like the drag up to kind of show your whole desktop. Those gestures can all be programmed in with these buttons. So it doesn't feel like you're losing the trackpad gestures, but you get the ergonomics of this form factor, and it's a nice wireless mouse. It's got like good, I don't know, it just feels good to use. So really excited about that. So so we got the uplift desk and chairs. Super excited about those. We got the BenQ monitors. We're getting new ones soon. Loving those. We've got the CalDigit TS5 Plus for connectivity, and then we've got the Logitech setup of keyboard and mouse, so that everybody's able to use a wireless keyboard and mouse, which keeps the desk nice and clean. And then we have the sort of like meta stuff that we need. So in order for me to edit the videos together, we also need screen recordings. And so what we've done is we've actually taken these Atomos Ninja Vs, and these are running HDMI out, which we can then hook into here, which gives us the ability to mirror this BenQ screen. So the BenQ screen is getting mirrored on the Atomos, and then when the camera crew comes over to talk to somebody, they don't have to say like, hey, can you open QuickTime, start a screen recording, remember to turn your mic on, all the things that we would need to do. Instead, there's just a record button right here. So we hit record, we talk to them, turn off the recording, and we move on. And the devs don't have to do anything except at the beginning of the day, start their, like, they have to set up the screen to mirror, right? And then we can do the same thing over here. We have an Atomos Ninja sitting inside the podium. So same deal, you plug into it, you mirror, and then we're able to record demos by mirroring this screen. So really good setup. Feels like a huge level up from last year, because last year, one of the biggest pain points for us was this sort of like ongoing challenge of how do we get screen recordings. And it was like the devs had to record them individually, which meant that I'm hounding people to make screen recordings. And then after we do the screen recordings, I don't have time to grab them day of. So then we're creating a Google Drive folder, and then I have to email everybody and sort of like hound them to upload those. And then I've got to download them and move them in with the rest of the file. It was just this very like big admin overhead. So with this new setup, the goal, the intention is that once we work the bugs out, we had a couple kinks, things weren't quite doing what we wanted them to do. Once we get that worked out, what should happen is we will get screen recordings for each of the devs with time code synced up to everything else that's happening inside of the shoot, so that when we're done, the devs just get to walk away. They don't have to think about screen recordings or anything other than just uploading their code to GitHub. And my editors now have the ability to just drop all of the files in, and they all end up on the timeline perfectly synced, so that they can just cut between the things that were happening at the same time. So huge level up on the production side, and something that I am very, very excited about. So let's see. So that's our setup there. Let me turn this off real quick so that my battery doesn't die. Okay, you're going there. This needs to go back in here. The hardest part about this stuff is you get these really cool tools, and then if you don't have the discipline to put them away after you use them, you will lose every single accessory. And then you're like, man, remember how that thing used to be great because it had all these accessories that I've now lost? So I had to develop a lot of discipline about that, because definitely has cost me some replacement fees to do that. Let me put these back together. need to charge this because that would have been much nicer to be able to have the mic on. How was the sound and stuff like that? Was that useful? Like, did it feel, was that interesting? I don't do stuff like that very often, so I'm not sure what people are interested in. Oh yeah, the other side of the phone, that's when you put it into the mirror mode, it shows you that your phone is being used as a what's it called? I forget what it's actually being called, an extended display or sidecar, something. But it shows a pause and a cancel option so that you can quickly, like if you accidentally turned your phone into a camera, you can like just turn it off from there. Yeah. Having a real set is truly like, it's great. Your Mac monitor is a 9-inch black and white CRT. Bridgewater, I actually don't even know if I don't believe you. Need to do something about adding some of the keyboards you have to the Linux. Oh, yeah. Don't put it down, put it away. Yes, exactly. I mean, that truly is like taking the time to put stuff away is so critical, I think. Especially with how much gear we have here. Like if you take an accessory and I like set it somewhere else, it's gone forever. Like you'll find it in a year and a half tucked in a closet somewhere because somebody else will pick it up and put it with some other gear. And we just, yeah, if it is not being used, it is in the spot it's supposed to be in, because otherwise it is definitely gone forever. Cool. I'm glad sound was okay. I hope that I did okay on framing. It was definitely awkward to not be able to watch the preview and see what it was doing. Hopefully I framed things like mostly in camera. So, okay. That was I really wanted to do that walkthrough. I feel like I'm really excited about having the opportunity to do that. I think that's super cool. And then we'll talk a little bit more about some other cool things that are coming up with the set, like when I get the new BenQ monitors, where they've got some other cool, we're talking about what's going to make sense in the space, because they got some other stuff that I like that hopefully is going to work, but I'm going to talk through that. And then might be doing some other cool fun things. Oh yeah. Putting travel on the calendar is hard. Like and I feel like it's hard when it's just you. It's harder when it's you and a partner. And I don't have kids, but I imagine it's like even harder when you've got kids or pets or like, people or pets that require you to sort of arrange care when you're gone. It's one of the reasons that I don't have a dog, is like, I love the idea of having a dog. And I feel like if I got a dog, I'd be sort of volunteering my parents to have a dog at least a third of the time, which feels very uncool. So instead, I pet other people's dogs. And like, kids, I love kids. I don't want kids, but I have, we always, like, when our friends have kids, we're always, Marissa was like doing crafts with one of our friends, our youngest daughter. They were like doing little clay things. She made some penguins, and the daughter was making whale sharks, and they're just like kind of like crafting a little thing. And I'm always, like I love teaching kids all the terrible habits that I had when I was a kid. Like, when you take a rubber band and you can like hold it in your hand, where you're kind of like hooking it here and then wrapping it around your finger so you can like shoot it like a gun. I was teaching one of my friend's oldest how to do that right before she started kindergarten. Because I'm a good friend is where that really goes. So I left my coffee out there, and I'm gonna go get it, and I'll be right back. Does anybody have any are there questions? Is anybody excited about anything? Like, what's going on? Tell me something about you while I'm getting this coffee, and then let's see what rabbit holes we can fall down today. have a step stool here that I'm gonna just sit on. And I know that it makes me too short, but I don't even care. We're casual today, everybody. We're very casual. Man. So I've been working on some updates to the Code TV site that I think are kind of cool. So I can show those for a minute while I'm waiting for anybody to post any questions or something. Where is my screen? My screen is here. Yeah. So check this out. And then Charles, I definitely want to talk about your new job because that sounds like fun. So this is the first thing is we now have a video on the homepage, which makes me really happy because one of the things I've struggled with on the homepage is like finding the perfect photo that encapsulates what we do. And so, you know, there's some of these photos I love. Like this is one of my favorite photos. I love Natalie. She's so funny. And like every time I see this photo, I smile. And then similarly, like this is such a great photo. I love this group of people. This was such a fun day. But it's also, you know, it's one photo. So I really like this because it just kind of shows everybody hanging out and it like gives a little more of the vibe of what's going on here. So this makes me really happy. This is an upgrade. Then, and then I did some changes on the homepage where now I went with more of like a Netflix style or like a Disney Plus style, where you get the side scrolling, like here's what's come out recently. And then we've got the episode cards, which are the series cards, which this is new. I made like DVD cover cards. And these make me really happy. And then when you click through on one of these, we updated the way that this functions to show the most recent episode up top. And then we have the card is actually like adaptive to the episode itself. And so with some of these, like I tried to be good at making these a little more set to the episode, so that we can do like, so the most recent episode is here. And then on the old ones, like I haven't had time to go back and put a card on every one of these. So some of these, they just use the default image because I haven't had time to put like generate images for each of these. But so like on this one, I had time to make an image, but then you've got like the logo is in here. We can pull out, like if there's a sponsor, you can pull out the sponsor. If there are multiple sponsors, like on Leet Heat, then we pull out all the sponsors and show it there. And then the other cool thing that we added that I'm really happy about is we added this details thing. So you've got the ability now to look at the episodes, but then you can also click through to details and learn more about what the show is. We've got some stuff about sponsors. I'm thinking through this on how I want it to work. I'm not 100% sure if it's gonna be like, I don't know if this is going to expand, but I like at least being able to put this here, some more details and links and stuff like that. And then this part, I haven't had a chance to really dig into yet, but I've been posting shorts from the episodes and they all make me really happy, but they're on social media. So they sort of evaporate into the ether really fast. And so a plan is to start also posting them here so that there's kind of a collection of clips from each of the episodes that I think is very, honestly, it might just be for me, like a thing that makes me smile, but I really like this. And then that way you can still watch all these things. And then that brings me to this other cool thing that we did, which is we now have standalone watch pages. So it goes full screen. I think I have, but what it should do is on any of these, it will, when it opens in a full screen window, and then it should autoplay so that you're kind of a very like Netflix experience, you know. Because before what was happening was the video was up here, And when you hit play, it would play, but it was kind of squished, especially on smaller screens. And then if it wasn't squished, it would push everything off the page, and it wasn't clear that there was more below. So I just realized that, like, I think the right choice is to just have a watch button. And when you click watch, it'll take you through to the episode itself. And then if it's an episode that is members only, what ends up happening is it says, hey, you need to be a supporter to watch this. And so when you click that button, it takes you through to sign in. And so you can sign in. And then I need to fix this to like redirect to where you were. But once you're logged in, you can go here and then wait a minute. Uh-oh. Am I not a supporter? Ah, shit. That's embarrassing. Is this broken? Did I break the whole thing? Whoa. What have I done? So this one, oh no. Okay, let's look at sanity and see what I did wrong. So we got web lunch. We got all these banners and stuff. We've got series 2. And then inside of that, we've got this one. And the video details, it's marked as members only. Right? There's the video file. So here, we've got it. It's published. Marked as members only. So why does one work and the other doesn't? That's not ideal. Is it like am I getting a weird cache thing? Because that would be real bad. I don't like that. I'm not happy about this. So I'll have to figure out what's going on there, because that's not good. If anybody else is a supporter and wants to try this out, that would be good. Let's see. So let's talk about this a little bit. So how can you participate in programming competitions on the program? So a couple things are possible here. One, we are always casting. So there are a lot of things coming up. We're always looking for more people to be part of it. We just had like somebody who submitted through the casting call was in episode 1 of season 3. So that'll be coming out soon. I know that some of you have already submitted. It never hurts to submit again if you're interested, especially because a handful of folks submitted and then ended up taking down the video that they like sent. And I don't know if that was by mistake or if they changed their mind. So it's hard for me to know. But yeah, we have a casting call that is always open. Let me see. Come on, bud. Casting call. That's it. And so this is okay, so Daniel's episode isn't loading, and that means that I did something wrong. So let's go look at Mux and figure out what's going on there. And so can I... No public ID for, yeah, that's fine. Input files, pass-through data. And so that is almost certainly the right one. So I want to look at... I want to select you. Right, and that's already in there. It's got, is it the captions? That would be weird. But I think that's the only real difference. I don't think the captions are on the other one. So let's clear this. I can always re-upload those. Let's publish this, and then I'm going to start the site. Oh boy, I'm going to use this one because I'm at a weird angle. You on? There you go. Okay, so that's running. That's going to take a second to download all the stuff. It runs slow in dev mode because we don't cache the sanity stuff, and we pre-generate everything on the final website so that it's like nice and fast. But these pages are a little bit slow in production because we are booting them up freshly every time. So let's see. Let's get my person logged in here. Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Name not resolved. The hell does that mean? Failed to load clerk. Why would you fail to load clerk, though? It is here. All right. This might not be something I can. If I'm going to have to start looking at API keys and stuff, I think this is going to be boring for everybody. It's loaded now? Why the hell would it be loaded now? I wonder if I like accidentally linked to a broken version of the site. Okay, so whatever it was, it works now. That's fine. So that's frustrating, but this is why you test things once they go live. But so anyways, if you want to, this is such a good interview, by the way. Like this is good stuff. I feel like listening to Daniel Rowe speak is one of those things that just makes me feel, it just makes me kind of feel good about being in open source. I think conversations like this alone, I think are worth becoming a Code TV supporter. Now, obviously, I am biased, and I think everybody should become a Code TV supporter. But I do think this is a particularly good conversation. And also, I just love every time I'm on the website, I just kind of like look through this, and I'm like, oh, that's nice. Yeah, let's talk. So, so the casting call is like thing one. Easiest way to get in is do the casting call. The process for that is you're going to fill out this form. It's going to ask you for some details on yourself. We do, unfortunately, only have the ability to support US and Canada, and we're kind of leaning toward US only with the current political climate here, because I would feel so bad if somebody got detained at the border because of my stupid TV show. So then I just a quick video because I want to see you be a person. It's important to me to see who you are and what you're like. We really prefer that you have a teammate, and then any additional links that you give us are just useful for putting on the site. So then that goes into the thing, and I need to fix this actually, because what I'd love to do is make this part of the website itself. Right now it's in Notion, but then this goes into a Notion database for me, which is where I look when I'm casting. And what I should probably do too is I should probably have people talk about like what their specialties are. I guess we do talk about that. And that helps me just get an idea of like kind of who you are, what you do. And like, if I've got an episode coming up that's like PHP based, are you somebody I should call for that? Or would that be putting you like way out of your comfort zone? And then if casting doesn't work, like if you're not in the US, or if you just don't really want to do an in-person challenge, we also do hackathons. And each episode of Web Dev Challenge comes with a companion hackathon, or most of them do. Sometimes it depends. But for something like this, we'll do a companion version of the hackathon. And then that we upgraded this actually. It's not quite done yet. So it needs some work, but this page is in fact live where you can jump in and see one of the hackathons. That is auto playing. That's not good. I should fix that. Fix autoplay on non-watch page videos. But so you get, this is the challenge that we give to the devs who participate in the show. You then get an overview of the tool that you're going to be using. And then this is the part that's still work in progress. So like, for example, these you might recognize as GitHub badges because I haven't made the badges yet. That's a whole plan. And then we're going to do credit on the Code TV store. Before, what we were doing is before we were doing a credits on like Cocoon or Drop, stuff like that. We've had a hell of a time with those because they, like Drop especially, things go out of stock on Drop in like 2 hours. And so people will go find things and say, this is what I want. And they'll send it to me. And if I don't immediately go and buy it, it will be out of stock by the time I log in tomorrow to like take care of that. And that's obviously been that's got to be super frustrating for the people who are in the hackathons, because I'm going back to them like 4 times saying like, hey, that thing you wanted is out of stock. Do you want me to get something else? And so instead we're going to go with credit on the Code TV store. But all of that, then you've got, here's the details. We've got an FAQ. So I really want people to participate in this. And then the long-term vision, there'll be a submit form as well once you get, when it's active. Like this one is not active. But the final form that we're after is once you get into, one with an active challenge, is like you'll click into it and it'll actually show that there's an active hackathon going. And then in the future, the intention is that when you click through to somebody's profile, you're going to have the, like it shows any episodes that you've been in, right? But I also want to have your hackathon submissions listed here. Your badges will show up here for like, we're going to do, we just had a bunch of people over the last month or two cross the 12-month mark of being Code TV supporters. And like, just let me thank you so much for that, by the way, because truly, it means so much to me that people are willing to do that. And it like, I'm so happy about it. But so we want to do some like milestone badges. We're also going to do hackathon participation badges. We'll do alumni badges, like if you've been on one of the shows. And if you've got other ideas for things we could do, please let me know, because I'd love to make that kind of a thing. Like I like the idea of badges. I want to work with some artists to get the badges designed. I think that would be really cool and really fun. It's always an excuse for me to like contract an artist and put a few bucks in their pocket, because I don't know. I think a lot of this stuff has boiled down to me I always wanted to be able to do stuff like this when I was a kid, is like collaborate with an artist and make a thing. And these little projects like the badges or the posters for the show were a great excuse for me to like email an artist and say, hey, what's your rate if I want you to design a poster for me? And then they would just come back and, we pay them $700 or something, and they'd make a poster. And then I would go and get them screen print. I thought that was super cool. And like, if I was more organized, we would have distributed those to people. And maybe we'll do some kind of a giveaway too, like because I've got probably 30, 50 of each of the episodes, like the season 1 episodes, posters, just kind of like chilling. And like, I want people to have them. I think they're cool. And I'd love to make that a thing. I think at one point I was going to send them out to hackathon participants, and I just like literally never did it, which is not cool. This is one of the things one of the reasons that I don't launch a lot of this stuff anymore is like, I get super excited and I really want it to exist, and I just do not have the time to do the admin work to keep it alive. So like badges, I want to do the badges. I don't currently have the time to do the admin to like actually wire them all up. So I don't want to like promise it and then not be able to do it. And so, we might have to launch the hackathons without the badges and then bring them back later and kind of do it retroactively. It's one of those things that's like, it's important to me and I want to do it right. And it makes me slow. Like for example, the web lunch relaunch, I've been sitting on some of those like I think that Kyle Daigle episode is close to a year of waiting for me to have the mental ability to like think about web lunch and launching it for real. So it's a whole thing. But I am very, very excited about the something's off with the site. You're logged in as a supporter. It's giving you the become a supporter prompt. Is it still doing that? Yeah, I was seeing seems to be working. I don't know, man. I don't know. It might be time to get a full-time junior eng. I think we're getting close. Some of the stuff that I'm not ready to talk about yet might have some impact on that. Almost certainly doesn't need to be full-time. I think you're right. The thing that's hard is, and here's the thing to talk about. One of the reasons that I have struggled to bring in help is that it's really difficult to delegate if you don't clearly understand what it is you're trying to delegate. And I think that especially with some of this community stuff, I have a clear like direction, but I don't know the details, and the details are important, and getting them right is going to take some fiddling. And the thing I want to avoid is bringing somebody on as a contractor and saying, I want you to build this badge system. And they'll say, okay, how does it work? And I'm saying, I'm not quite sure yet. Crank on it. And then I'm going to give you a lot of feedback that's going to cause you to like throw work away. Right. Because I know how frustrating it was to be a contract developer when somebody would give me I'm not quite sure, but I'll know it when I see it sort of direction. And I feel very strongly that that's what I would be on a lot of the web dev stuff that I want to do on Code TV right now, because I haven't had the chance to like really think through what it would do. So in that gap between what I think it could be and what it will actually be once I've thought it through and worked through the sort of implementation details, I feel like I could really burn somebody out in a contractor role by changing my mind a lot and kind of churning on it. So the upside of like looking at somebody maybe a little more full time is that I wouldn't be delegating in a here's your project way. I would be delegating in like a here's your area of responsibility way. And I want to talk through this stuff with you, but I'm expecting them to then sort of bring the implementation and like think through it and give me their reasoning for why it should or shouldn't be a certain way. And so then that starts pointing towards somebody who's a little more mid to senior. And if it's somebody who's a little more mid to senior, that starts pricing me out for what Code TV can realistically afford at this particular moment in time. And that hopefully, again, fingers crossed, we'll see. Hopefully won't stay true for too much longer. We've been growing really fast. To give some perspective, from 2023 or from 2024 to 2025, Code TV roughly doubled in gross revenue, but our contractor expenses went way up. From 2025 to January of 2026, I've already billed more this year than I had in the entirety of 2025. So that's great. The signals are good. Like we're moving in the right direction. I'm really confident that we're growing. I'm not confident that it's sustainable. Like as much as we've built is really exciting. these projects will go through the first half. So do I think I can double the business this year? I hope so. I'm technically on track. You know, my sales pipeline and stuff is technically on track to be able to like triple the business, but it's just a who knows kind of thing, right? And like this 6-episode series of Web Dev Challenge makes up the vast majority of that billing. So it's also kind of that's like a lightning strike that somebody was willing to fund that whole thing. And if I do well, I think it's highly likely that I can continue to push that direction and get more funding, more sponsorship. But if I don't want to count on it, right? And I think if I brought somebody in and bringing in a dev, like a senior dev is going to be somewhere between like probably 150 and 200 grand. To me, that feels very like, well, shit, if I commit to paying somebody, say 150 grand a year, that is a big risk to the business. It's a big risk to that person, because if I'm banking on, clearing whatever amount, and it turns out that, this first project was a fluke and I can't sell a second one, I really never ever want to do layoffs again. I've had to do layoffs one time in my life and it just crushed me. So that's the big fear, right? Is what happens. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. I saw somebody else said something up here that I should have said thank you. Thank you, Power Up Play. I appreciate the kind words. Challenge accepted. Fair. The Halloween one with the werewolf on it. I love that one. That one was so cool. That one glows in the dark too, which is really, really fun. So this is somewhere that I'm hung up. I really, really, really don't like AI for art, like at all. And honestly, the bigger issue for me isn't the designs. Like I can delegate a design. That part I don't have a problem with, because I don't have like the design as an aesthetic thing. I worry way more about the functionality, like the implementation of the badges. How do we tie that to things? How do we make that not a giant admin headache? How is that something that can be automated? Like when we have the hackathon submissions, how do those, like, where are the checkpoints for, like, how do we make sure that it's a valid submission? Because obviously if we're giving away prizes, there's an incentive there for people to just sort of spam it and try to get free stuff. So how do we, what's the human checkpoint to make sure that we got good stuff? Are there validation things that we could automate that that would allow us to, like, I don't know, say, can we have a checkpoint in the ingest workflow where we say, hey, Claude, check that this does in fact use these libraries, and like have it review the code and give us that feedback. Like I do think there's a place for AI to fit into the flow, but I don't want it to do art. Because I like to do art. Like I think it's very rewarding to do art. And I like working with artists because I like to let artists do art. And there's this like it's like a very satisfying thing to me to go through that muddy process of like having somebody generate a thing from nothing, like from a vague idea. It's super satisfying. It's one of the things I love about programming too. Like I love the human creativity aspect of things. And so I like AI as a guard. I don't love it as a source, if that makes sense. Yeah, I mean that's fair, and I've done that once before. I did one of the very first episodes of Web Dev Challenge, back when we were still doing them remote, the season 0. We did an episode that was a D&D themed e-commerce store, and I wanted these like glowing stones, and I don't know how to draw a glowing stone, but I so I used Dolly or something to I was like, what does it look? What would like a magical glowing stone look like? And it generated these like, these cool things. And then I took those and like drew. I used them for like a light reference, and I like drew my own version of the thing so that I could kind of get that like glowing lava vibe. Uh, but yeah, I think that's I don't know. I mean, and I guess I should also be careful because I'm not trying to like add a like a moral stance on it, because I think we're getting a little too like absolutist on the AI stuff, especially because I'm seeing people who've gone hard anti-AI in a way that is like stuff that we've been using for years is suddenly not allowed, because it got bucketed under AI. And I feel like that's like, I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because I do think that a lot of the machine learning stuff that we've had is incredibly useful. I love the image auto moderation. I love being able to scan text for like keywords and variations of words, and people trying to like beat the spelling thing. Like, the if you want to say the F word, you put spaces between the letters. You use shapes that kind of look like those letters. Like, LLMs are actually pretty good at detecting that stuff. And that's great, because that means a human doesn't have to look at what the worst people in the world are trying to do to beat filters. I think that's good. Similarly, image moderation by robots is good, because if somebody's going to upload the worst images they can find, I would love it if those just went into a hole and nobody ever had to look at them, right? Like, don't traumatize human moderators out of a staunch refusal to take advantage of the tools that exist. I think, but I do have a like, I don't like the I really dislike the way that the marketing is being done, because I think there's a sort of like gleeful anti-intellectualism happening. And I think that there is something to be said about the gatekeeperiness of different aspects of the world. Like, I do think that there's kind of a, well, you didn't pay your dues, so you're not allowed to be here. But the way that the AI tools get talked about doesn't feel to me like we're leveling the playing field. It sort of feels to me like the people building it, they're saying it with the tone of like, I have broken into the artist's house and smashed everything they owned, and now I'm saying, now try to be better than me, you fucking nerd. And I don't like that. I feel like there's this, it's almost this celebration of the destruction of human creativity and human ingenuity, and a rush toward like, well, who cares? Like, just, whatever, it's fine. Just like generate the code. Don't look at it. Just generate the art. Don't look at it. Who cares? And that to me is a really odd, it's like an odd way to approach anything, I think. And it's a really depressing way to approach anything, because the whole joy of being alive is like struggling to get good at things. And if you don't have the struggle, you don't get the satisfaction of the thing being good. Like, if I go to the store and I buy a cake and the cake is beautiful, I don't get to say like, wow, look at this cake I made, right? There's nothing satisfying in that. And like, I can say that, I could take it to a party and pretend that I made it myself, and people might congratulate me and say, wow, that's a really good cake. That's the thing you can do. You've been able to do that. You've always been able to pass off other people's work as your own, but the emotional reward is not there. Like, there's really something special about saying there's distance between where I am and where I could be, and I want to figure out how to close that gap, and then doing the work. And that's not, I'm not trying to gatekeep. Like, if you don't care about the thing, who cares? Like, I don't care about doing a spreadsheet. And so if the spreadsheet that I'm making can be formatted more easily, and I can say, hey, just put these figures into a spreadsheet and like give me a new field that totals the thing up. Like, I don't care. I didn't need, that's not like a skill that I needed to build or a thing that I'm proud of or interested in. That's just a thing that needed to exist, and it takes a chore off of my plate. But I really don't like this idea that, like, oh, you can't design. Who cares? Just have Lovable generate the design for you. Oh, you can't code. Who cares? Just have Claude Code build the website for you. It doesn't matter that they're kind of janky and don't look very good and also don't really work. Good enough is fine, right? And it's this sort of celebration of like, who needs a brain? Who needs to think? You should never struggle for anything. Like I um I think it's sort of the logical conclusion of we've been we've been preaching this idea of creating value means eliminating friction. And so I think for mostly innocuous reasons, and obviously there's some pretty evil people out there who have very sinister reasons for what they're doing. But I don't think most people are evil. I think most people are just thinking to themselves, like, wouldn't it be cool if you could just have this and you didn't have to like spend 10,000 hours becoming an expert? Wouldn't it be cool if I could have an idea for a song and I could just make that song and not have to learn how to play music? I don't think that's being done in an evil way. I think it's being done with a fundamental misunderstanding of why it is satisfying to have made a song. Like and I think the part that bums me out, and the part that I maybe like struggle with is that we're I feel like we can feel that, but it's hard to articulate in a way that doesn't feel like you're just saying everybody is bad who doesn't agree with me. Um, it to me it feels very much like I want to be surrounded by people who are constantly striving to be better. And I don't mean being better than the people around them. I mean being better than they were yesterday. And that can mean a lot of things. And I'm watching people who they're approaching AI in that way. Like they're trying to build things that are really hard to build, and they're figuring out how to string these systems together to do really weird and interesting and challenging stuff. And you can watch them sort of as they struggle through it and level it up and turn it into something that's doing pretty interesting stuff. I'm not mad at those people. I think the thing that bums me out is that the vast majority of the messaging seems to be, well, what if you just didn't do any stuff? Like, what, you could just remove all the friction from your life. Like, give us enough time and AGI will be here and you'll just lay there in an inflatable bed. And we'll just have the robots deliver you food and make you a custom tailored feed of slop that just turns on your dopamine receptors. And, we'll have the robots wash your dishes and we'll have the robots clean your house, and you'll be on camera all the time in case you need somebody to, I don't know, pay attention to you. And all of it is available for a low subscription fee of whatever you got. I just like, why would I don't know. I don't want to live like that. I don't want to be in a world that's uh formed that way. And yeah, I think like, and this is maybe what I'm getting at is like, I don't think that everything that's being created with AI is slop, but I think that the marketing is driving people towards slop. Like I think that what people are being told, what people are being sold is fine is good enough. Why bother trying harder? Right? Like just, who cares? Just make a thing and throw it on your blog and then you're done. You don't have to do any more work. Friction eliminated. It's that is the problem. And I think that like there was that Anthropic study that came out, like they're studying their own stuff, and they showed that like people using AI by default are getting worse at things because it's eliminating their need to think critically about stuff. They're able to say, I was told to do this, can you do it? And then it does it. But they didn't learn anything along the way, and they're not reviewing the solutions. They're not thinking about like how or why it was solved the way that it was. They're just sort of saying like, oh, I got a chore. Can you do my chore? And then somebody does the chore and they move on with their day, having experienced nothing. They just like fed an instruction from one person to another and then, walked on. So those, and they've shown that in test scores, like kids are doing really well on their homework with AI, doing really bad on tests because they're not actually retaining things, they're not learning things, they're just saying, hey, AI, do my homework. People are doing, you can generate a lot of code, but you're actually not getting better at code. You're getting worse at code because you're not thinking about what it's doing or why. Art, same thing. If you never practice art, you will generate some art and you'll say, look, it looks so good, but you never learned anything because you're just saying like, hey, make me a picture of a dragon, and it makes you a picture of a dragon. You go, look at that art. That's great art. And then you move on. You never learn anything. The people that are getting good results, right? And then this is what the study showed, are the people who are treating it as a teaching tool or as a review tool. Like if I'm going to write something in Rust and I don't have somebody who's close by to write Rust who knows what they're doing, and I don't have the patience to go through the getting started in Rust stuff and then watch a bunch of videos, I can instead say, hey, make this thing in Rust, and then I can look at it and I can highlight a piece of the code and I can say, can you explain this to me? What does this do? And it'll talk through the like memory allocation and all the stuff that happens in Rust that I'm not used to because I use JavaScript. And you can actually have it like start to step through the code and explain different concepts and do different things. So you can have it generate some code for you and then use that generated code as a teaching tool to help you understand more of what's going on. And in that way, you're actually learning, you're growing. So in that sense, AI is really, really cool. And I think similarly with art, you could have AI generate some art, and then you could use that art as a model to draw your own thing or use it as inspiration to help you. Like a friend of mine is doing some landscape illustration right now and like needed to fill out a city and like didn't want to just sit there and meticulously come up with different building types. So they had AI generate some different like building types, which then they've got sitting over here, and they're drawing their own version of it, but they can like draw inspiration from all the variants that showed up in the generated cityscape. So it's like, I think there's a lot of ways to use the tools to make yourself better. And I think that, the strength is and has always been the willingness to exceed yourself, right? To take where you are today and learn more stuff and become better. And that drive has, I think, always been the key to success and the key to like satisfaction, because that's the one that's sustainable. Like if your core state of being is, I think I could be a little bit better today than I was yesterday, then anything you take on, whether it's whether it's shoveling your driveway or whether it's growing your career or learning a new skill, you're going to approach it from the sense of, how did I do this before? Could it have been better? How could I make that better? And no matter what tools are available to you, you're seeking improvement, right? So AI can help you seek improvement. It can also give you a free pass to never use your brain again. And I think the secret for everybody out there is going to be finding a way to leverage the new tools to improve yourself, as opposed to letting them put you in the back seat and sort of turning yourself into somebody who's dependent on the tool, right? I think it's sort of like like one of the things that I always give people a lot of crap for is when you see couples and like there's that learned helplessness, like the tropes, the stereotype is like, the guy and the dude in the relationship, in a straight relationship, will say like, oh, well, I don't know how to do laundry. I don't know how to do that. I'm going to ruin it if I do it. And so they sort of, through like learned helplessness, and through like, I think they call it weaponized incompetence, sort of put the burden on their partner to handle those types of household chores like laundry. And then you see the opposite direction, like in the stereotypical straight relationship, where the woman will say, oh, well, I can't lift that. I don't know how cars work. I don't, they'll say like, oh, well, I don't understand that stuff. And so then they have their feigned or their learned helplessness and their weaponized incompetence that like puts all this other work on their partner. And in both cases, it's generally in most relationships that I've seen, it tends to be pretty one-sided. Like one person is the helpless one and one of them is the caretaker. And this is like one of my hot takes, is that a relationship like that is no longer a relationship. You found yourself a surrogate parent. And if you are living with somebody who cares for you like a parent, you are not in a romantic relationship anymore. And if you're wondering why the spark is out, that's why. So, hot takes for the day. Love lessons from Jason Lengstorf, your neighborhood love guru. Let's see. What are y'all talking about? I was like on one. Built a demo page for project, live demo with the ability to post messages publicly. Local LLMs that moderate them. Yeah, I mean, I love that stuff. I think that's such a good way to do it because otherwise you just wouldn't be able to do that, right? And I imagine there's still lots of ways to exploit that stuff, but I feel like in the past you would just sort of hope for the best. You'd put up a block word and then somebody would figure out that if they put 2 spaces in between letters instead of 1, they can say all the bad words they want. And the next thing you know, you're getting absolutely spammed with the worst stuff in the world. And so I think that's like it's a bad thing. Having robots do everything for you is like us owning a dog. It's like not a terrible analogy because yeah, I mean it's the like the libertarian joke, right? Like libertarians are like cats because they're fiercely dependent on a system that they neither understand nor appreciate. And I think that's the part I worry about is like, okay, so here's where the sinister part of this kicks in. What is the end game for all of these companies that are trying to replace like every bit of intellectual work, and eventually with the robots and stuff, they're trying to replace every bit of manual labor as well. Like we're seeing that the robots now they're pretty good at carrying boxes around. They're getting pretty dexterous. They can, we're seeing that they're not great at it, but they're getting better at like picking up breakable things like plates and stuff. They're super slow, but that's going to get better over time. We've got the ability to have them climb things and jump. I saw one doing gymnastics the other day. It could do like front handsprings. What's the end game, right? So let's just follow this to its logical conclusion. They managed to replace all of the knowledge worker jobs with AI. They managed to replace all the manual labor jobs with AI. They managed to replace the driving jobs with AI and self-driving cars. What are they going to do, right? And you see that like there was this conversation about universal basic income, which they then scaled back and said, actually, no, we're just going to give you universal basic compute so that you have like a set allotment of tokens every month to, I guess, have AI run your life. But who's gonna keep people alive if they can't get jobs, right? Like if all of the companies have more or less conglomerated into like a few mega corporations, which we're pretty close to that at this point, the only real path out for most startups is acquisition by one of the big companies. The only way to get anything out in the world is to buy it from like a Warner Brothers or a Johnson and Johnson or like what are they called? Unilever. Like there's like a small number of companies that own everything. And if they end up replacing all of the labor, both mental and physical, with robots, do we think they're suddenly going to grow a conscience? Like these are people who have actively union busted. They've fought tooth and nail to not pay more taxes or to pay higher minimum wages or to provide better benefits. Like there's all these things that would be like taking care of people that they have very aggressively worked against. So if they succeed in replacing every bit of human labor with robots and AIs, do we think they're suddenly going to shift stance and like be willing to fund universal basic income, that they're suddenly going to just create stipends for all of us to go pursue these lives of creativity and art? Or like what happens, right? And I don't think anybody has really thought through this, or if they have thought through this, I'm not hearing what they have to say, because the answers are all kind of like hand wavy, like we'll figure that out, everybody's going to have so much free time. I'm like, okay, great, but if everything costs $1 million and nobody can get a job, what happens? Like, what do we do? Right. And so that's the part that I think that's the part that I don't get, is like the economics are sort of fundamentally broken. Like, it's built on this idea of winner take all, but if the winner literally takes all, then there's nobody to be a customer. Like, if we're all unemployed and flat broke because we can't get a job, can't pay for things, there's no government benefits to like keep us in our, our like monthly stipend to stay alive. What did all of the price fixing and consolidation and all this stuff, what did it actually yield you? Like, you're basically going to be sitting on a big pile of money with no additional customers. And so then what? You won, I guess. But like, historically that ends pretty poorly for the people who have cut everybody else out of every resource. And I just don't know. Like, the whole thing has me very confused. Well, and I mean, I think there's like, again, not everything needs to be a meaningful experience. Like, I think doing the dishes for some people is very meditative. For other people, it's like the worst thing in the world. And like, for me, if I could get something to fold my laundry, I would 100% do that. I don't get any like emotional reward from folding laundry. Yeah, I think, and the abdication of personal responsibility is maybe the whole thing. And it worries me a lot, because I don't think, and this is, again, I don't know how to talk about this in a way that doesn't sound like super gatekeepery or like, oh, I'm better than everybody. But I really do worry that we've kind of given up as a culture, as Western culture, on instilling this sense of like duty to the community, duty to ourselves, to be better, like to do the right thing because it's the right thing. I think that we've moved to this sort of like consequences, but really the consequences only apply until you're a certain amount of rich, and then there are no consequences. And I worry a lot about what that means, because it's hard to see a way through that's not pretty dark. Because in any direction, historically and as far as we've seen the imaginations of sci-fi writers in the far future go, like, it's pretty bleak if 6 people own the whole world. Because why would what's the incentive of those 6 people to care about anybody? Because and then of course that turns into resentment, because now they got to carry the weight of all these people who they took all the resources from. And it just, I don't know, the whole thing is like real, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Yeah, the automated robot things are remote controlled by actual people. I kind of hate the idea that the eventual future for all of us is remote operating robots. Like, that would be sad. Like, the call center of the future is now a remote operator center where we're all driving each other's robots. And like, I don't know. I mean, the whole thing is strange. It's just strange. I don't even know. Like, a lot of it is very exciting. Like, I think it's really cool that we've been able to teach robots to like jump on top of stuff and do backflips. And like, it's cool to think that in the future you would be able to send a robot into a burning building to like save somebody, or that you could have the robots do the dangerous work that injures people. I think that's good. That's like a good outcome. But I think it has to be taken in context of like, there are 8 billion people on this planet, and we've already got most of them living in poverty. So what if we didn't try to take the jobs from the rest of them? Right? Like, what if we tried to make life better, just kind of like universally across the board? And I don't know. I think the thing that makes me the most sad is it's hard for me to understand the willingness to just choose what I would consider to be like evil approaches. Like it would take so little, and it would be a rounding error for so many of these companies to just like shift the quality of life for everybody that works for them. You know, for a company that's got hundreds of millions or billions in profits to shift 100 million of that toward their employees to like give them a cost of living bump to make sure that the warehouse workers are making $20 an hour, like just stuff that would mean that somebody who works for that company has amazing benefits and can afford to buy a house, right? The company itself wouldn't really feel that. And if they did that, they would have imagine the difference of opinion we would have for the billionaire that did that. They'd still be a billionaire. They'd still be a billionaire many times over. But if they just allocated $500 million of their hundreds of billions of dollars to pay the people that work for them, that made them billionaires, more money, the people who get the extra 20 or 30 grand a year, their lives change. If you can take somebody from 50 to 80 grand a year, their life changes. You take somebody from 80 to 110, like I think that's what, I don't know where inflation is now, but it's around like 105, 110. There's a number somewhere where like happiness is actually purchased, right? For a billionaire to get their employees to that point, I don't think is crazy. And I don't think they would stop being billionaires, and I don't think the business would fold. I actually think the business would thrive because they'd have this fierce loyalty. They would have incredible public perception. They would be like the CEO that makes that choice is a legend, right? They'll go down as like, you want to talk about reputation laundering, like take an entire group of people out of poverty and you will go down as like one of the greatest people in history, because no one ever does it, right? And I don't get why they don't do that. Like it's hard for me to imagine having enough money to be able to look down a chain of thousands of employees and say, I could literally change every one of your lives in a meaningful way, and I won't notice because I am so rich, and not do it. Like it's kind of like, so the Mackenzie, what's her actual name? Mackenzie Scott, used to be married to Bezos, is just giving away like tens of millions of dollars. Seems like every other week you see an announcement about somebody else got $1 million, $25 million, whatever from Mackenzie. And she's still a billionaire. Right? Like, she just keeps giving away millions and millions and millions of dollars. And the billions grow because having those types of assets, it's just too much money. It will grow on its own. It doesn't get smaller. You can spend a ton of money. I did the math. I don't know if this still holds up, but I did the math a few years back on like, where's the number where you could draw a tech salary, like call it $220,000 a year. How much money do you have to have in investments before you could do that in a way that would be self-perpetuating? And it's not a super high number. It's like $6 or $7 million. If you assume, I think it's like a 7% growth. I can't remember exactly what numbers I used. It was like between 6 and 8% of annual returns, which is like a mutual fund. It's like $6 or $7 million, and you can live on a great salary for the rest of time. And you'll actually have more money in the bank at the end of the year than you had when you started after drawing that salary. And to think about like how those numbers compound as you get into the billions or the tens of billions or the hundreds of billions, it's kind of staggering. Like, so anyways, it's weird to me to think about having the power to like change thousands of people's lives without noticing it and like not pulling that lever. It's like the easiest button in the world to push. I don't know. Whole thing makes me really sad. Yeah, like, okay, so you got a company, staff on when you have time basis due to no money. Yes, fair. But so this is kind of what I'm thinking about. And it's one of the reasons why I haven't scaled up Code TV yet is when I bring somebody in, I want to like fundamentally improve their lives. And I want that to be done in a way that like I'm pretty squeamish about private equity for this reason, because I think the incentives should be like, you have a company and the company has two core groups of people that you need to keep happy: the people who pay you, your customers, and the people that you pay, your employees, right? Because if you pay your employees well, they do good work, they care about the company, they're bought in, they believe in the mission, and they're not worried about money, they're not feeling like they're being taken advantage of, and so they can really like put their heart into their work. And then on the customer side, if you make things that people want and you do your best to create things that they are excited about, that feels like it's made for them and not to, I don't know, whatever it is, to win awards, to make the most money in the box office. I'm thinking about movie stuff, but like those choices could be, if I want to make a movie that like the people who like movies would love to watch. And if you put private equity in, all of the incentives change, right? In a privately held business, you can have employees, and at the end of the year, if there's extra money, you do bonuses, you do profit sharing, you do whatever the thing is. But you pay everybody well enough that you don't need to do bonuses or profit sharing. It's just, you could all just get paid. And, you know, as the founder, you get paid whatever you need to live, but you're not paying yourself 600 times what your lowest paid employee makes. You're paying yourself a reasonable amount. You know, if you've got engineers on for 220, maybe you pay yourself 250 because you're the CEO. Maybe you pay yourself 300. I don't know. Like, if you can afford it, fine. But at the end of the year, if you're sitting on 500 grand in the bank because you had a good year, just distribute it. Don't like put it in your own pocket, right? Reinvest it in the business and make something super cool. Like, it bothers me that when we start talking about private equity, all of those incentives switch, right? Because now the only incentive that anybody cares about with private equity is that you need to get a high return on your investment. The business is the investment. So the return is money extracted from that business, the investment. So if you cut corners on employee benefits, that's like another couple percent that goes into the return. If you cut quality, then that's another couple percent that goes into the return. And suddenly the incentive becomes, we'll make it a little bit worse for the customers. Like, how bad can we make it before they'll notice, right? Because then we get a higher return for the shareholders. How bad can we make it for the employees before they'll quit? Because then we get extra return for the shareholders. And it like breaks the whole contract. Like, if I have a business, I make a thing that people want, right? And if I make a thing that people want, then they are willing to pay me to have that thing. If I'm owned by private equity, that's not the agreement anymore. The agreement is, this business has annual revenue, and I need to maximize the percentage of that annual revenue that goes into the pockets of people who invested in the company. I hate it. I think it's a fundamentally broken system. And I don't know what the path back is, because I don't think you can just, do the Fight Club thing and like smash all the computers and just assume it would be fine. But I do think there's a world where like we really need to consider that the incentives need to be aligned. Like, if you own a business, the people that you should be most incentivized to keep happy and to treat well should be your employees and your customers. And if any type of transaction, any type of business arrangement can break that incentive and say, well, actually treating the customers or the employees well is bad because that lowers our return on investment, what are we doing? How is that a functioning society? Like, we're falling apart out here. But yeah, the whole thing is rough. If you remember correctly, 4% withdrawal on $1 million is more than 30K, and which can be enough to live on, especially if you don't have other bills. Like, if you're not paying a mortgage, you're not paying, you wouldn't have a sum of, well, actually, I don't know what the taxes are like when you're drawing like this, so I don't know how that all breaks down. But like, you'd be missing some of the bills that you would normally have, assuming, if I'm going to put millions in the bank, I would assume I probably paid my house off for that. But $1 million in the bank, if at 4% withdrawal, is 30K. So you put the 6 in, that's 180K. You get the 7 in, that's 210, right? And 210 grand a year is no joke, right? And so it's like, this is why my brain kind of breaks when I see people who are like, I don't know, man, I just feel like I need 100 million to be happy. And it's like, but why? Like, It just hurts. Yeah, donating to charity. Like, I mean, there's this other part of me that like I really want to just lobby really, really hard to get taxed harder because I don't like the idea that everything is funded by charity and not by taxes. Um, yeah, I don't know the whole thing. But yeah. I mean, exactly. Like the whole thing with this like living off the returns is sort of it becomes an accounting thing that gets interesting because the more you have, the more the taxes all break in weird ways. But like the fundamental thing here is that if you can put together and I mean if you can just get a few $1,000,000, then you're sort of you're like on the perpetual motion machine at that point, because that's just how like as long as the country doesn't fall and the currency collapses into nothing. And even if that's the case, you're probably going to have enough time to see it coming to get your currency into whatever country is not falling, right? So you're probably realistically set for life once you cross like the $5-6 million mark, right? Unless you make irresponsible spending choices. And to me, that's the part that bothers me, is that we act like taxing a billionaire would be this huge drain on society or something, or like it would cause all these big problems. But it's like, for real, they literally can't spend money fast enough to lose it. Like they have to buy super yachts and companies and countries and islands and $500 million weddings if they want to have any drawdown on their income. And as we've seen, they go out there and they buy a $500 million yacht and have a $25 million wedding with a $5 million wedding ring, and their net worth is going up all the time because you can't spend money fast enough when you hit those levels. And it like, cool. So tax it. Like 70% of $1 billion in taxes still leaves you $300 million. Like you're going to have a lot of money and it's going to grow every year for free, right? Like you just get free money for life once you hit those leagues. And to say that like it would break down the fabric of society to tax those people who basically have the free money machine installed, it kind of hurts my feelings. Like it's so silly that we fight about this. Like if I had $6 million, hell yeah, tax me. Like, yes, I should be funding other people's lives. Like I want people to have healthcare. I would like for everybody to have a place to live and like, quality drinking water and all these things that we say we can't afford. 100%. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. Like I want that. and to think that people don't, so that they can have like an extra few percent in their free money machine it just bums me out. Just bums me out. And this is I just think we could be better. And I don't even think it would be that hard. I actually think it would just be one of those things that if we did it, everybody would complain. And then the instant it happened, everyone would be like, why haven't we been doing this forever? Like all these problems that we think are unsolvable, I actually do think start to evaporate when society is built on like taking care of each other, not in a like mutual aid, what can I donate to somebody's GoFundMe, but in like the government is fundamentally structured to take care of people. I don't know, because I know there's problems with government and government waste and all those sorts of things, and there's a million reasons to not do anything, but I think at this point it's become pretty clear that what we're doing ain't working, and there's probably we can probably afford a little government corruption if it means that people are getting healthcare and have a place to live. Anyways, what should we talk about? I guess holy shit. Did I rant for a solid hour about rich people? Sorry, everyone. As you can tell, I'm not bothered by it at all. Jeez. Anyways, okay, it's 10 to noon. I am clearly in a talking mood today, so I'm not going to start another rabbit hole. What I will say is we've got good stuff coming up. We have on Thursday, We are going to have Raylene Del Rosario, who is over at DocuSign, and we're going to look at automating away busy work. I'm really excited about this one because it's like relevant to my interests. I do a lot of contracts. I use DocuSign for my contracts at Code TV, and being able to kind of kick off some automations, even if it's as simple as like I work in Discord to coordinate things. Okay, the contract is signed. Send a note to Discord that says like, "Hey, this contract is signed. It's time to do thing." Right? But I think we can go further than that. I think we can set up I use Notion. I think we can generate a Notion template and like get the project into the to-do column and get it, move it out of contract. And there's just so many interesting things that I can imagine would be possible if we can automate off of the paperwork. And like if you're working with in any way contracts, the contract is kind of the blocker. Like you shouldn't really start any work until the contract is signed. And so using the contract as the kickoff point for building out your automations, I really like that as an idea because the contract is what makes it real. So sign the contract, project gets built out, and all the scaffolding is there for me to go in and work. Really interested in seeing how that can play out. We're going to talk about that on Thursday on the Web Dev Challenge Learn with Jason live recording. That will all get edited out, and next week we'll go live. The Web Dev Challenge, the Web Dev podcast portion will publish on the podcast side. The pair programming will publish on Learn with Jason. We are also looking at, let's see, is it the week after that? We're going to be doing the App Proto stuff. And then the week after that, we are going to do some Auth0 stuff. Chris was telling me that they're working on some interesting stuff to create access control for agents, which like the more I'm seeing people do this, like the Molt book, the OpenClaw, where they're just sort of letting agents have full access to entire machines. That stuff terrifies me. I'm really interested in like, is there a world where I could have an agent that powerful, but it has super tight scopes on what it is and isn't allowed to do so that it can't delete an entire folder or like modify the production database, but instead is only able to like read that database, right? I like the idea of it being able to read the database. I don't want it to be able to delete the database. And I want it to have pretty tight controls on what it can modify. So love that. I'm interested in seeing how that plays out. But yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff coming up on the podcast and the show. And again, if you've got something that you want to see, please do let me know. You can jump into the Discord. We have we've got a Discord. It's pretty active. I love seeing people in there. Come in, say hello, drop ideas for things you want to see, for people who you want to see on the show. If you've got questions about, you're working on projects, we've got a place to show it off. It's a really good, really healthy community. I love all the people in there. And I'd love to see you in there. And that's going to be the end of our stream. Please remember to like, subscribe, share, clip, comment, do all the things that send the right signals to the algorithm that they should show people that we exist. Because it can be good out here. We can have a good time. We can take care of each other and still all get ridiculously rich. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Politics out. See you next time, y'all.